Hello everyone and welcome back. It is still April the 5th, 2021, or the 23rd of Nisan, 5781, and I'm still at my favorite coffee shop, Panera, in the beautiful mountains of North Carolina. So this video we're starting in chapter 23, verse 1. You are not to repeat false rumors. Do not join hands with the wicked by offering perjured testimony. Do not follow the crowd when it does what is wrong, and don't allow the popular view to sway you into offering testimony for any cause if the effect will be to pervert justice. On the other hand, don't favor a person's lawsuit simply because he is poor. If you come upon your enemy's ox or donkey straying, you must return it to him. If you see the donkey which belongs to someone who hates you lying down helpless under its load, you are not to pass him by, but to go and help him free it. Do not deny anyone justice in his lawsuit simply because he is poor. Keep away from fraud, and do not cause the death of the innocent and righteous, for I will justify the wicked. You are not to receive a bribe, for a bribe blinds the clear-sighted and subverts the cause of the righteous. You are not to oppress a foreigner, for you know how a foreigner feels, since you are foreigners in the land of Egypt. For 6 years you are to sow your land with seed and gather in its harvest. But the 7th year you are to let it rest and lie fallow, so that the poor among your people can eat, and what they leave the wild animals of the countryside can eat. Do the same with your vineyard and olive grove. For 6 days you are to work, but on the 7th day you are to rest, so that your ox and donkey can rest, and your slave girl's son and the foreigner be renewed. Pay attention to everything I have said to you. Do not invoke the names of other gods, or even let them be heard crossing your lips. 3 times a year you are to observe a festival for me. Keep the Festival of Matzah. For 7 days, as I ordered you, you are to eat matzah at the time determined in the month of Aviv, for it was in that month that you left Egypt. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Next, the Festival of Harvest, the first fruits of your efforts sowing in the field. And last, the Festival of Ingathering. At the end of the year, when you gather in from the fields the results of your efforts. 3 times a year, all your men are to appear before the Lord, Adonai. You are not to offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, nor is the fat of my festival to remain all night until morning. You are to bring the best first fruits of your land into the house of Adonai your God. You are not to boil a young animal in its mother's milk. I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you on the way and bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him. Listen to what he says, and do not rebel against him, because he will not forgive any wrongdoing of yours, since my name resides in him. But if you listen to what he says and do everything I tell you, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and a foe to your foes. When my angel goes ahead of you and brings you to the Amorite, Hittite, Perizi, Canaanite, Hivite, and Yebusi, I will make an end of them. You are not to worship their gods, serve them, or follow their practices. Rather, you are to demolish them completely and smash their standing stones to pieces. So just an interesting side note, in verse 20, which says, I am sending an angel ahead of you, the Hebrew word for angel there is melech. And the King James Version capitalizes the word angel. So I'm thinking that this would be Yeshua. And we will probably find out later on if I'm correct or not. So starting in verse 25, you are to serve Adonai your God, and he will bless your food and water. I will take sickness away from among you. In your land, your women will not miscarry or be barren, and you will live out the full span of your lives. I will send terror of me ahead of you, throwing into confusion all the people to whom you come, and I will make all your enemies turn their backs on you. I will send hornets ahead of you to drive out the Yavah, Canaanite, and Hittite from before you. I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, which would cause the land to become desolate and the wild animals too many for you. I will drive them out from before you gradually until you have grown in number and can take possession of the land. I will set your boundaries from the Sea of Suf to the Sea of the Plishtim, and from the desert to the Euphrates River. For I will hand the inhabitants of the land over to you, and you will drive them out from before you. You are not to make a covenant with them or with their gods. They are not to live in your land, otherwise they will make you sin against me by ensnaring you to serve their gods. Chapter 24. To Moshe, Adonai said, Come up to Adonai, you, Aharon, Nadav, Abihu, and 70 of the leaders of Israel. Prostrate yourselves at a distance, while Moshe alone approaches Adonai. The others are not to approach, and the people are not to go up with him. Moshe came and told the people everything Adonai said, including all the rules. The people answered with one voice, We will obey every word Adonai has spoken. Moshe wrote down all the words of Adonai. He rose early in the morning, built an altar at the base of the mountain, and set upright 12 large stones to represent the 12 tribes of Israel. He sent the young men of the people of Israel to offer burnt offerings and sacrifice peace offerings of oxen to Adonai. Moshe took half of the blood and put it in basins. The other half of the blood he splashed against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it aloud, so that the people could hear. And they responded, Everything that Adonai has spoken, we will do and obey. Moshe took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, This is the blood of the covenant which Adonai has made with you in accordance with all these words. Moshe, Aharon, Nadav, Abihu, and 70 of the leaders went up, and they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a sapphire stone pavement, as clear as the sky itself. He did not reach out his hand against these notables of Israel. On the contrary, they saw God, even as they were eating and drinking. Adonai said to Moshe, Come up to me on the mountain and stay there. I will give you the stone tablets with the Torah and the mitzvot I have written on them, so that you can teach them. Moshe got up, also Yehoshua his assistant, and Moshe went up onto the mountain of God. To the leaders he said, Stay here for us until we come back to you. See, Aharon and Hur are with you. Whoever has a problem should turn to them. Moshe went up onto the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of Adonai stayed on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the 7th day he called to Moshe out of the cloud. To the people of Israel, the glory of Adonai looked like a raging fire on top of the mountain. Moshe entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. He was on the mountain 40 days and nights. Chapter 25. Isn't it also interesting that he was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights, and Yeshua was was in the desert or the wilderness after he was baptized for 40 days and 40 nights? I wonder if there's a connection there. Chapter 25. Adonai said to Moshe, Tell the people of Israel to take up a collection for me. Accept a contribution from anyone who wholeheartedly wants to give. The contribution you are to take from them is to consist of gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, fine linen, goat's hair, tanned ram skins, and fine leather, acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense, onyx stones and other stones to be set, for the ritual vest and breastplate. They are to make me a sanctuary, so that I may live among them. You are to make it according to everything I show you, the design of the tabernacle and the design of its furnishings. This is how you are to make it. They are to make an Ark of Acacia wood 3 3/4 feet long, 2 1/4 feet wide, and 2 1/4 feet high. You are to overlay it with pure gold. Overlay it both inside and outside, and put a molding of gold around the top of it. Cast 4 gold rings for it, and attach them to its 4 feet, 2 rings on each side. Make poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. Put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark. You will use them to carry the ark. The poles are to remain in the rings of the ark. They are not to be removed from it. Into the ark you are to put the testimony which I am about to give you. You are to make a cover for the ark out of pure gold. It is to be 3 3/4 feet long and 2 1/4 feet wide. You are to make 2 cherubs of gold. Make them of hammered work for the 2 ends of the ark cover. Make 1 cherub for one end and 1 cherub for the other end. Make the cherubim of one piece with the ark cover at its 2 ends. The cherubim will have their wings spread out above, so that their wings cover the ark, and their faces are toward each other and toward the ark cover. You are to put the ark cover on top of the ark. Inside the ark you will put the testimony that I am about to give you. There I will meet with you. I will speak with you from above the ark cover, from between the 2 cherubim which are on the ark for the testimony, about all the orders I am giving you for the people of Israel. You are to make a table of acacia wood 3 feet long, 18 inches wide, and 18 inches high. Overlay it with pure gold, and put a molding of gold around the top of it. Make around it a rim a handbreadth wide, and put a molding of gold around the rim. Make 4 gold rings for it, and attach the rings to the 4 corners near its 4 legs. The rings to hold the poles used to carry the table are to be placed close to the rim. Make the poles of acacia wood, overlay them with gold, and use them to carry the table. Make its dishes, pans, bowls, and pitchers of pure gold. On the table you are to place the bread of the presence of my presence always. You are to make a menorah of pure gold. It is to be made of hammered work. Its base, shaft, cups, ring of outer leaves, and petals are to be of one piece with it. It is to have 6 branches extended from its sides, 3 branches of the menorah on one side of it, and 3 on the other. On one branch are to be 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with a ring of outer leaves and petals. Likewise, on the opposite branch, 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with a ring of outer leaves and petals, and similarly for all 6 branches extended from the menorah. On the central shaft of the menorah are to be 4 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with its ring of outer leaves and petals. Where each pair of branches joins the central shaft is to be a ring of outer leaves of one piece with a pair of branches. That's for all 6 branches. The rings of outer leaves and their branches are to be of one piece with the shaft. Thus the whole menorah is to be a single piece of hammer work made of pure gold. Make 7 lamps for the menorah and mount them so as to give light to the space in front of it. Its tongs and trays are to be of pure gold. The menorah and its utensils are to be made of 66 pounds of pure gold. See that you make them according to the design being shown you on the mountain. And I know that this is really long and boring, but it's there for a reason. Later on, when it's going to be talking about, when we're reading later on in the Bible about, it's referring back to this, you'll know why it was made this way, and why we were told this detailed information. I used to skip over the genealogies and all of these different instructions because they were so long and boring. But then when I would get into another part of the Bible and it would be talking about something, I'm like, well, how did they know that? I couldn't understand about something, but then whenever I would come back into this, I could see how the two related. So these long and boring parts are for a reason. not just asleep. Chapter 26. You are to make the tabernacle with 10 sheets of finely woven linen and with blue, purple, and scarlet yarn. You are to make them with cherubim worked in that have been crafted by a skilled artisan. Each one is to be 42 feet long and 6 feet wide. All the sheets are to be the same size. 5 sheets are to be joined one to another, and the other 5 sheets are to be joined one to another. Make loops of blue on the edge of the outermost sheet in the first set, and do the same on the edge of the outermost sheet in the second set. Make 50 loops on the one sheet, and make 50 loops on the edge of the sheet in the second set. The loops are to be opposite one another. Make 50 fasteners of gold, and couple the sheets to each other with the fasteners, so that the tabernacle forms a single unit. You are to make sheets of goat's hair to be used as a tent covering the tabernacle. Make 11 sheets. Each sheet is to be 45 feet long and 6 feet wide. All 11 sheets are to be the same size. Join 5 sheets together and 6 sheets together, and fold the 6th sheet double at the front of the tent. Make 50 loops on the edge of the outermost sheet in the first set, and 50 loops on the edge of the outermost sheet in the second set. Make 50 as a single unit. Let me start that verse again. Make 50 fasteners of bronze, put the fasteners in the loops, and join the tent together so that it forms a single unit. As for the overhanging part that remains of the sheets forming the tent, the half sheet remaining is to hang over the back of the tabernacle, and the 18 inches on the one side and the 18 inches on the other side of that remaining in the length of the sheets forming the tent is to hang over the tabernacle to cover it on each side. You are to make a covering for the tent of tanned ram skins and an outer covering of fine leather. Make the upright planks for the tabernacle out of acacia wood. Each plank is to be 15 feet long and 2 1/4 feet wide. There are to be 2 projections on each plank, and the planks are to be joined one to another. That is how you are to make all the planks for the tabernacle. Make the planks for the tabernacle as follows: 20 planks for the south side, facing southward. Make 40 silver sockets under the 20 planks, 2 sockets under one plank for its 2 projections, and 2 sockets under another plank for its 2 projections. For the second side of the tabernacle, to the north, make 20 planks and their 40 silver sockets, 2 sockets under one plank and 2 under another. For the rear part of the tabernacle, toward the west, make 6 planks. For the corners of the tabernacle in the rear, make 2 planks. These are to be doubled from the bottom all the way to the top, but joined at a single ring. Do the same with both of them. They are to form the 2 corners. Thus there will be 8 planks with their silver sockets, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one plank and 2 under another. Make crossbars of acacia wood, 5 for the planks of the one side of the tabernacle, 5 crossbars for the planks of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 crossbars for the planks at the side of the tabernacle at the rear toward the west. The middle crossbar, halfway up the planks, is to extend from end to end. Overlay the planks with gold. Make gold rings for them through which the crossbars will pass, and overlay the crossbars with gold. You are to erect the tabernacle according to the design you have been shown on the mountain. You are to make a curtain of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely woven linen. Make it with cherubim worked in that have been crafted by a skilled artisan. Hang it with gold hooks on 4 acacia wood posts overlaid with gold and standing in 4 silver sockets. Hang the curtain below the fasteners, then bring the ark for the testimony inside the curtain. The curtain will be the divider for you between the holy place and the especially holy place. You are to put the ark cover on the ark for the testimony in the especially holy place. You are to put the table outside the curtain and the menorah opposite the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south. Put the table on the north side. For the entrance to the tent, make a screen of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely woven linen. It should be in colors, the work of a weaver. For the screen, make 5 posts of acacia wood, overlay them with gold, and cast for them 5 sockets of bronze. Chapter 27. You are to make the altar of acacia wood, 7.5 feet long and 7.5 feet wide. The altar is to be square and 4.5 feet high. Make horns for it on its 4 corners. The horns are to be of one piece with it, and you are to overlay it with bronze. Make its pots for removing ashes, and its shovels, basins, meat hooks, and fire pans, all its utensils you are to make of bronze. Make for it a grate of bronze netting, and on the 4 corners of the netting, make 4 bronze rings. Put it under the rim of the altar so that the netting reaches halfway up the altar. Make poles of acacia wood for the altar and overlay them with bronze. Its poles are to be put into the rings. The poles are to be on both sides of the altar for carrying it. The altar is to be made of planks and hollow inside. They are to make it just as you were shown on the mountain. Here is how you are to make the courtyard of the tabernacle. On the south side, facing southward, are to be tapestries for the courtyard made of finely woven linen, 150 feet for one side, supported on 20 posts and 20 bronze sockets. The hooks on the posts and the attached strings for hanging are to be of silver. Likewise, along the north side are to be tapestries, 150 feet long, hung on 20 posts and 20 bronze sockets, with silver hooks and rings for the posts. Across the width of the courtyard on the west side are to be tapestries 75 feet long, hung on 10 posts and 10 sockets. The width of the courtyard on the east side, facing east, will be 75 feet long. The tapestries for one side of the gateway will be 22.5 feet long, hung on 3 posts and 3 sockets. For the other side, there will be tapestries 22.5 feet long, on 3 posts and 3 sockets. For the gateway of the courtyard, there is to be a screen 30 feet long, made of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely woven linen. It should be in colors, the work of a weaver. It is to be on 4 posts and 4 sockets. All the posts all the way around the courtyard are to be banded with silver and to stand in sockets of bronze. The length of the courtyard is to be 150 feet and the width 75 feet everywhere, with the height 7.5 feet. The tapestries and screen are to be of finely woven linen, and the sockets are to be of bronze. All the equipment needed for every kind of service in the tabernacle, as well as the tent pegs for the tabernacle and for the courtyard, are to be of bronze. You are to order the people of Israel to bring you pure oil of pounded olives for the light, and to keep a lamp burning continually. Aharon and his sons are to put it in the tent of meeting, outside the curtain in front of the testimony, and keep it burning from evening until morning before Adonai. This is to be a permanent regulation through all the generations of the people of Israel. Chapter 28. You are to summon your brother Aharon and his sons to come from among the people of Israel to you, so that they can serve me as Kohanim. Aharon and his sons, Nadav, Abihu, and Eleazar, and Ithamar. You are to make for your brother Aharon garments set apart for serving God, expressing dignity and splendor. Speak to all the craftsmen to whom I have given the spirit of wisdom, and have them make Aharon's garments to set him apart for me, so that he can serve me in the office of Cohen. The garments they are to make are these: a breastplate, a ritual vest, a robe, a checkered tunic, a turban, and a sash. They are to make holy garments for your brother Aharon and his sons, so that he can serve me in the office of Cohen. They are to use gold, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen. They are to make the ritual vest of gold, of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of finely woven linen, crafted by a skilled artisan. Attached to its front and back legs are to be 2 shoulder pieces that can be fastened together. Its decorated belt is to be of the same workmanship and materials: gold, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely woven linen. Take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names on one stone, and the 6 remaining names on the other, in the order of their birth. An engraver should engrave the names of the sons of Israel on the 2 stones as he would engrave a seal. Mount the stones in gold settings, and put the 2 stones on the shoulder pieces of the vest as stones, calling to mind the sons of Israel. Aharon is to carry their names before Adonai on his 2 shoulders as a reminder. Make gold squares and 2 chains of pure gold, twisted like cords. Attach the cord like chains to the squares. Make a breastplate for judging. Have it crafted by a skilled artisan. Make it like the work of the ritual vest. Make it of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely woven linen. When folded double, it is to be square, a handspan by a handspan. Put on it settings of gold. Put on it settings of stones, 4 rows of stones. The first row is to be a carnelian, a topaz, and an emerald. The second row, a green feldspar, a sapphire, and a diamond. The third row, an orange zircon, and a agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They are to be mounted in their gold settings. The stones will correspond to the names of the 12 sons of Israel. They are to be engraved with their names as a seal will be engraved, to represent the 12 tribes. On the breastplate, make 2 pure gold chains twisted like cords. Also for the breastplate, make 2 gold rings, and put the gold rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. Put the 2 twisted gold chains on the 2 rings at the 2 ends of the breastplate. Attach the other 2 ends of the twisted chains to the front of the shoulder pieces of the ritual vest. Make 2 gold rings and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate at its edge, on the side facing in toward the vest. Also make 2 gold rings and attach them low on the front part of the vest's shoulder pieces, near the joint above the vest's decorated belt. Then bind the breastplate by its strings to the rings of the vest with a blue cord, so that it can be on the vest's decorated belt, and so that the breastplate won't swing loose from the vest. Aharon will carry the names of the sons of Israel on the breastplate for judging over his heart when he enters the holy place as a continual reminder before Adonai. You are to put the Urim and the Thummim in the breastplate for judging. They will be over Aharon's heart when he goes into the presence of Adonai. Thus Aharon will always have the means for making the decisions for the people of Israel over his heart when he is in the presence of Adonai. You are to make the robe for the ritual vest entirely of blue. It is to have an opening for the head in the middle. Around the opening is to be a border woven like the neck of a coat of mail, so that it won't tear. On its bottom hem, make pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet, and put them all the way around, with gold bells between them all the way around. Gold bell, pomegranate, gold bell, pomegranate, all the way around the hem of the robe. Aharon is to wear it when he ministers, and its sound will be heard whenever he enters the holy place before Adonai, and when he leaves, so that he won't die. You are to make an ornament of pure gold and engrave on it as on a seal, set apart for Adonai. Fasten it to the turban with a blue cord on the front of the turban over Aharon's forehead, because Aharon bears the guilt for any errors committed by the people of Israel in consecrating their holy gifts. This ornament is always to be on his forehead, so that the gifts of Adonai will be accepted by him. You are to weave the checkered tunic of fine linen, make a turban of fine linen, and make a belt, the work of a weaver in colors. Likewise, for Aharon's sons make tunics, sashes, and headgear, expressing dignity and splendor. With them clothe your brother Aharon and his sons, then anoint them, inaugurate them, and consecrate them, so that they will be able to serve me in the office of Cohen. Also make for them linen shorts, reaching from waist to thigh, to cover their bare flesh. Aharon and his sons are to wear them when they go into the tent of meeting and when they approach the altar to minister in the holy place, so that they won't incur guilt and die. This is to be a perpetual regulation, both for him and for his descendants. Chapter 29. Here's what you are to do to consecrate them for ministry to me in the office of Cohen. Take 1 young bull and 2 rams without defect, also matzah cakes mixed with olive oil, and matzah wafers spread with oil, all made from fine wheat flour. Put them together in a basket and present them in the basket, along with the bull and the 2 rams. Bring Aharon and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting and wash them with water. Take the garments and put on Aharon the tunic, the robe for the ritual vest, the vest itself, and the breastplate. Fasten the vest on him with its belt. Put the turban on his head and attach the holy ornament to the turban. Then take the anointing oil and anoint him by pouring it on his head. Bring his sons, put tunics on them, wrap sashes around them, Aharon and his sons, and put the headgear on their heads. The office of Cohen is to be theirs by permanent regulation. Thus, you are to consecrate Aharon and his sons. Bring the young bull to the front of the tent of meeting. Aharon and his sons are to lay their hands on the bull's head, and you are to slaughter the bull in the presence of Adonai at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Take some of the bull's blood and put it on the horns of the altar with your finger. Pour out all the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. Take all the fat that covers the inner organs, the covering of the liver, and the 2 kidneys with their fat, and offer them up in smoke on the altar. But the bull's flesh, skin, and dung you are to destroy by fire outside the camp. It is a sin offering. Take 1 of the rams. Aharon and his sons are to lay their hands on the ram's head, and you are to slaughter the ram. Take its blood and splash it on all sides of the altar. Quarter the ram, wash the inner organs and the lower parts of the legs, and put them with the quarters and the head. Then offer up the whole ram in smoke on the altar. It is a burnt offering for Adonai, a pleasing aroma, an offering made by Adonai by fire. Take the other ram. Aharon and his sons are to lay their hands on the ram's head, and you are to slaughter the ram. Take some of its blood and put it on the lobe of Aharon's right ear, on the lobes of his sons' right ears, on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet. Take the rest of the blood and splash it on all sides of the altar. Then take some of the blood that is on the altar and some of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it on Aharon and his clothing, and on his sons and the clothing of his sons with him, so that he and his clothing will be consecrated, and with him his sons and his sons' clothing. Also take the fat from the ram, the fat tail, the fat that covers the inner organs, the 2 kidneys, the fat covering them, and the right thigh, for it is a ram of consecration, along with 1 loaf of bread, 1 cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer from the basket of matzah, which is before Adonai, and put it all in the hands of Aharon and his sons. They are to wave them as a wave offering in the presence of Adonai. Then take them back and burn them up in smoke on the altar, on top of the burnt offering, be a pleasing aroma before Adonai. It is an offering made by Adonai by fire. It's an offering made to Adonai by fire. Take the breast of the ram for Aharon's consecration and wave it as a wave offering for Adonai. It will be your share. Consecrate the breast of the wave offering and the thigh of any contribution that has been waved and raised up, whether from the ram of consecration or from anything else meant for Aharon or his sons. This will belong to Aharon and his sons as their share perpetually, due from the people of Israel. It will be a contribution from the people of Israel from their peace offerings, their contribution to Adonai. The holy garments of Aharon will be used by his sons after him. They will be anointed and consecrated in them. The son who becomes Cohen in his place, who comes into the tent of meeting to serve in the holy place, is to wear them for 7 days. Take the ram of consecration and boil its meat in a holy place. Aharon and his sons will eat the ram's meat and the bread in the basket at the entrance to the tent of meeting. They are to eat the things with which atonement was made for them, to inaugurate and consecrate them. No one else may eat this food, because it is holy. If any of the meat for the consecration or any of the bread remains until morning, burn up what remains. It is not to be eaten, because it is holy. Carry out all these orders I have given you concerning Aharon and his sons. You are to spend 7 days consecrating them. Each day, offer a young bull as a sin offering. Besides the other offerings of atonements, offer the sin offering on the altar as your atonement for it. Then anoint it to consecrate it. 7 days you will make atonement on the altar and consecrate it. Thus the altar will be especially holy, and whatever touches the altar will become holy. Now this is what you are to offer on the altar: 2 lambs a year old, regularly, every day. The 1 lamb you are to offer in the morning, and the other lamb at dusk. With the 1 lamb, offer 2 quarts of finely ground flour mixed with 1 quart of oil from pressed olives, along with 1 quart of wine as a drink offering. The other lamb you are to offer at dusk. Do with it as with the morning grain and drink offerings. It will be a pleasing aroma, and an offering made to Adonai by fire. Through all your generations, this is to be the regular burnt offering at the entrance to the tent of meeting before Adonai. This is where I will meet with you to speak with you. There I will meet with the people of Israel, and the place will be consecrated by my glory. I will consecrate the tent of meeting and the altar. Likewise, I will consecrate Aharon and his sons to serve me in the office of Cohen. Then I will live with the people of Israel and be their God. They will know that I am Adonai their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt in order to live with them. I am Adonai their God. Chapter 30. You are to make an altar on which to burn incense. Make it of acacia wood. It is to be 18 inches square and 3 feet high. Its horns are to be of 1 piece with it. Overlay it with pure gold, its top, all around its sides, and its horns, and put around it a molding of gold. Make 2 gold rings for it under its molding at the 2 corners on both sides. This is where the carrying poles will go. Make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. Place it in front of the curtain by the ark for the testimony, in front of the ark cover that is over the testimony, where I will meet with you. Aharon will burn fragrant incense on it as a pleasing aroma every morning. He is to burn it when he prepares the lamps. Aharon is also to burn it when he lights the lamps at dusk. This is a regular burning of incense before Adonai through all your generations. You are not to offer unauthorized incense on it, or a burnt offering, or a grain offering, and you are not to pour a drink offering on it. Aharon is to make atonement on its horns once a year with the blood of the sin offering of atonement. He is to make atonement for it once a year for all your generations. It is especially holy to Adonai. Adonai said to Moshe, when you take a census of the people of Israel and register them, each, upon registration, is to pay a ransom for his life to Adonai, to avoid any breakout of plague among them during the time of the census. Everyone subject to the census is to pay as an offering to Adonai half a shekel, 1/5 of an ounce of silver, by the standard of the sanctuary shekel. A shekel equals 20 gerahs. Everyone over 20 years of age who is subject to the census is to give this offering to Adonai. The rich are not to give more, or the poor less, than the half shekel when giving Adonai's offering to atone for your lives. You are to take the atonement money from the people of Israel and use it for the service in the tent of meeting, so that it will be a reminder of the people of Israel before Adonai to atone for your lives. Adonai said to Moshe, you are to make a basin of bronze, with a base of bronze for washing. Place it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. Aharon and his sons will wash their hands and feet there when they enter the tent of meeting. They are to wash with water so that they won't die. Also, when they approach the altar to minister by burning an offering for Adonai, they are to wash their hands and feet so that they won't die. This is to be a perpetual law for them through all their generations. Adonai said to Moshe, take the best spices, 500 shekels of myrrh, 12.5 pounds, half this amount, 250 shekels, of aromatic cinnamon, 6.25 pounds, 250 shekels of aromatic cane, 500 shekels of cassia, use the sanctuary standard, and 1 gallon of olive oil, and make them into a holy anointing oil. Blend it and perfume it as would an expert perfume maker. It will be a holy anointing oil. Use it to anoint the tent of meeting, the ark for the testimony, the table and all its utensils, the menorah and all its utensils, the incense altar, the altar for burnt offerings and all its utensils, and the basin with its base. You are to consecrate them. They will be especially holy, and whatever touches them will be holy. Then you are to anoint Aharon and his sons. You are to consecrate them to serve me in the office of Cohen. Tell the people of Israel, this is to be a holy anointing oil for me through all your generations. It is not to be used for anointing a person's body, and you are not to make any like it, with the same composition of ingredients. It is holy, and you are to treat it as holy. Whoever makes any like it, or uses it on any unauthorized person, is to be cut off from his people. And I said to Moshe, take aromatic plant substances, balsam resin, sweet onycha root, and bitter galbanum gum. These spices, along with frankincense, all in equal quantities, and make incense, blended and perfumed as would an expert perfume maker, salted, pure, and holy. You are to grind up some of it very finely and put it in front of the testimony in the tent of meeting where I will meet with you. You are to regard it as especially holy. You are not to make for your own use any incense like it, with the same composition of ingredients. You are to treat it as holy for Adonai. Whoever makes up any like it to use as perfume is to be cut off from his people. Chapter 31. Adonai said to Moshe, I have singled out Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah. I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge concerning every kind of artisanry. He is a master of design in gold, silver, bronze, cutting precious stones to be set, wood carving, and every other craft. I have also appointed as his assistant Aholiab, the son of Akasamach, of the tribe of Dan. Moreover, I have endowed all the craftsmen with the wisdom to make everything I have ordered you: the tent of meeting, the ark for the testimony, the ark cover above it, all the furnishings of the tent, the table and its utensils, the pure menorah and all its utensils, the incense altar, the altar for burnt offerings and all its utensils, the basin and its base, the garments for officiating, the holy garments for Aharon the Cohen, and the garments for his sons, so that they can serve in the office of Cohen, the anointed oil and the incense of aromatic spices for the holy place. They are to make everything just as I have ordered you. And I said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, you are to observe my Shabbats, for this is a sign between me and you through all your generations, so that you will know that I am Adonai, who sets you apart from me. Therefore you are to keep my Shabbat, because it is set apart for you. Everyone who treats it as ordinary must be put to death, for whoever does any work on it is to be cut off from his people. On 6 days work will get done, but the 7th day is Shabbat, for complete rest, set apart for Adonai. whoever does any work on this day of Shabbat must be put to death. The people of Israel are to keep the Shabbat, to observe Shabbat through all their generations as a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the people of Israel forever. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, but on the 7th day he stopped working and rested. When he had finished speaking with Moshe on Mount Sinai, Adonai gave him the 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone inscribed by the finger of God. Chapter 32. When the people saw that Moshe was taking a long time to come down from the mountain, they gathered around Aharon and said to him, "Get busy and make us gods to go ahead of us, because this Moshe, the man that brought us up from the land of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him." Aharon said to them, "Have your wives, sons, and daughters strip off their gold earrings and bring them to me." The people stripped off their gold earrings and brought them to Aharon. He received what they gave him, melted it down, and made it into the shape of a calf. They said, "Israel, here is your God who brought you up from the land of Egypt." On seeing this, Aharon built an altar in front of it and proclaimed, "Tomorrow is to be a feast for Adonai." Early the next morning, they got up and offered burnt offerings and presented peace offerings. Afterwards, the people sat down to eat and drink. Then they got up to indulge in revelry. Adonai said to Moshe, "Go down, hurry. Your people whom you brought up from the land of Egypt have become corrupt. So quickly they have turned aside from the way I have ordered them to follow. They have cast a metal statue of a calf, worshipped it, sacrificed to it, and said, 'Israel, here is your God, who brought you up from the land of Egypt.'" Adonai continued speaking to Moshe, "I have been watching these people, and you can see how stiff-necked they are. Now leave me alone, so that my anger can blaze against them, and I can put an end to them. I will make a great nation out of you instead." Moshe pleaded with Adonai his God. He said, "Adonai, why must your anger blaze against your own people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and a strong hand? Why let the Egyptians say it was with evil intentions that he led them out, to slaughter them in the hills and wipe them off the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce anger. Relent. Don't bring such disaster on your people. Remember Abraham, Yitzhak, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your very self. You promised them, 'I will make your descendants as many as the stars in the sky, and I will give all this land I have spoken about to your descendants, and they will possess it forever.'" Adonai then changed his mind about the disaster he had planned for his people. Moshe turned and went down from the mountain with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hands, tablets inscribed on both sides, on the front and on the back. The tablets were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God engraved on the tablets. When Yehoshua heard the noise of the people shouting, he said to Moshe, "It sounds like war in the camp." He answered, "That is neither the clamor of victory nor the wailings of defeat. What I hear is the sound of people singing." But the moment Moshe got near the camp, when he saw the calf and the dancing, his own anger blazed up. He threw down the tablets he had been holding and shattered them at the base of the mountain. Seeing the calf they had made, he melted it in the fire and ground it to powder, which he scattered on the water. Then he made the people of Israel drink it. Moshe said to Aharon, "What did these people do to you to make you lead them into such a terrible sin?" Aharon replied, "My Lord shouldn't be so angry. You know what these people are like, that they are determined to do evil. So they said to me, 'Make us gods to go ahead of us, because this Moshe, the man that brought us up from the land of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him.' I answered them, 'Anyone with gold, strip it off.' So they gave it to me. I threw it in the fire, and out came this calf." When Moshe saw that the people had gotten out of control Because Aharon had allowed them to get out of control with the derision of their enemies, Moshe stood at the entrance of the camp and shouted, "Whoever is for Adonai, come to me." All the descendants of Levi rallied around him. He told them, "Here's what Adonai, the God of Israel, says. Each of you put his sword on his side and go up and down the camp from gate to gate, and every man is to kill his own kinsman, his own friend, and his own neighbor." The sons of Levi did what Moshe said, and that day 3,000 of the people died. Moshe said, "You have consecrated yourselves today to Adonai, because every one of you has been against his own son and against his own kinsman, in order to bring a blessing on yourselves today." The next day Moshe said to the people, "You have committed a terrible sin. Now I will go up to Adonai. Maybe I will be able to atone for your sin." Moshe went back to Adonai and said, "Please, these people have committed a terrible sin. They have made themselves a god out of gold. Now, if you would just forgive their sin. But if you won't, then I beg you, blot me out of your book which you have written." Adonai answered Moshe, "Those who have sinned against me are the ones I will blot out of my book. Now go and lead the people to the place I have told you about. My angel will go ahead of you. Nevertheless, the time for punishment will come, and then I will punish them for their sin." Adonai struck the people with a plague because they had made the calf, the one Aharon had made. So, we'll stop here, and we'll pick it up next time in chapter 33. And so I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you will be informed when the next video goes up. Bye for now, and have a blessed day.